I don't do that. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Talk, whatever the hell that means. Um, just kidding. Before you writes to me. Tonight, we're going to be talking about UFOs and disclosure and what this last little report means. Now, there's an argument on if is this the final report or Stephen Bassetti put out a letter that Michelle had informed me about a few minutes ago that's saying this might not be the final report. So, may or may not be the final report. I don't think it's going to matter on the other one, but we'll wait and see. On the gray zone uncensored and Saturday, we're also tackling this question. Sorry if y'all hear me yawning, guys. I got me a new drug. I got a trigeminal nerve. That's if y'all look it up, you'll find out what it means. It's one of the most intense pains you can have in your body, which is unbelievable. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Anybody want to send me some good drugs? Feel free. No, I'm just kidding. No, y'all don't get arrested. I don't want none of y'all getting arrested sending me drugs. Hopefully, these neurologists will figure this out and get me out of pain. But a lot been going on. A lot of weird stuff been going on. I caught a letter today. John Greenwald posted about Neil deGrasse Tyson, and a friend of mine from had posted it. Gary Hatchett posted. Now I can't remember his last name. He had made a post on it, and they're all going on and on. And I said, okay, look. And he's saying if you take these courses, maybe they would become from UFOs, they would become IFOs, meaning identified flying objects. So I wrote a nice, sweet letter to Neil because Neil and I've interviewed him a couple times. I don't want to piss him off, but I said, okay, Neil. I said, let me see. I've got degrees in avionics and advanced electronics. I said, advanced avionics, advanced electronics. I said, I've got aircraft recognition from the U.S. Navy. Can't get any better than that. I said, I have degrees in facial recognition and not just facial recognition, but body language. I said, I'm certified in voice stress analysis. I said, I also have an FCC license. I'm radar qualified. I said, there's not much that's going to fly in the sky that I'm not personally going to be able to identify. I said, but also, so you know, Neil, I keep aircraft traffic tracker on my laptop along with JTRAC satellite. I said, so when I see something, I go, oh, it ain't an airplane, it ain't a satellite. Oh, shit, what is it? So then since I took a course in atmospheric anomalies, I can rule that out as well. So when you rule out atmospheric anomalies and you rule out the airplanes and you rule out JTRAC, what the hell's left? I'm not saying it has to be a UFO. Hello, Michelle. I don't have to say it has to be a UFO, or I shouldn't say an alien craft, but it's not within those parameters of something that's man-made or naturally made. So that's then it's time to launch an investigation into what this may or may not be. And I'm not telling you every time it's going to be an alien craft, but most of the time when we use those three things and it eliminates something from us or something from nature, you have to take it serious. It still doesn't mean it's going to be an alien, but you have to take it serious. But on that note, I'm going to turn y'all over to Michelle and Michael because I got to go switch something on right quick. I'll be right back. So, Michelle, the floor is yours. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to back up for a moment. Please know we are broadcasting live here via the International Public Radio on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM in New Orleans. Topic of discussion, of course, is the disclosure report. We'll be addressing things such as, is this a preliminary report as it's suggested, or is it a watered-down version of the report? Why are we getting, as the public, the watered-down version? What are they not telling us? After several decades of documentation and experiences, it seems that they've tackled 144 cases. So I don't know. That's what we're going to chime in on. If you guys have any questions, please get into the chat room. We are streaming live via at least 8 different video platforms that you can comment in, and we can see your comments, and we will do our best to address them. Michael, how are you?
I don't know.
All right, we're not sure. Well, Michael's alive. We know that.
Sort of. He's sort of alive.
Sort of.
Still kicking. But I don't know. It's doing all right. I'm watching. You know what? I'm watching COVID explode. I don't understand all that. I'm watching the UFO bullcrap. I don't understand all that. I do understand the Pentagon that they were never going to give anybody any information about anything. They're just going to say they don't know what it is,
True.
Which is an acknowledgement. It's not us necessarily, and not them necessarily. So they said nada.
But Mike, I got in a big bunch of trouble on the last show we did A bunch of my ufologist friends wrote to me, Joe, you're being negative. I said, I'm not being negative. I said, the Pentagon's not giving this shit up until we give them something. I said, since society's not willing to say, oh, we're going to give you all a free run now, and we're not going to prosecute anybody, we're not going to go after anybody. I said, there's no reason for them to disclose. I said, and besides that, I said, if there is something that they're interested in, why in the hell do they want to disclose? What, so the Russians can? I just learned today that the Russians' hypersonic missiles are more advanced than ours. So we want to give them more technology. I'm thinking we want to keep technology from them. What, we're going to give it to the Chinese? Oh shit! So they can make a Wuhan virus and fly it out of a UFO. I'm not feeling that the U.S. truly wants to disclose. What I would really like to see is that when the final report comes out, that the UK picks it up, and maybe they can add to it, and maybe Australia can add to it. I was going to say Canada, but I know Pink Shorts ain't doing shit up there. He is on my list, by the way. She has just made my list. He's up there with Biden people, and we're not going to talk. We're going to talk about that Wednesday because we're not going to be on Friday. We got another Science and Beyond for the upcoming award, so we're going to be on Wednesday. We're going to be doing politics. Yes, people, don't. If you're a UFO fan for UFO Undercover, do not tune in. We're going to be doing hardcore politics this Wednesday because there's a lot going on. That
but you can come see us on Saturday on the Gray Zone. Yes. We'll talk to you.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about on Saturday. We'll be talking about actually we're going to talk about the effects of disclosure Saturday. What the effects would be across the world, across the United States and Canada and the North American continent on what disclosure. But we're not going to talk about that tonight because that's for Saturday. Jim or what? Jim? Look, people. I got 5 Facebook chat rooms open today. So don't go in any of the Facebook chat rooms. You go on my personal page, News on the Flip Side, United Public Radio, UFO Undercover, and the International Community on Research. You can also catch us on Twitch, on UFO Paranormal Radio YouTube, and International Radio YouTube, because apparently YouTube's pissed off at me yet again on another page. I don't know, man. YouTube just got a thing for me. I'm beginning to think they're just jealous. When you're sexy as I am,
that's right. Let's go with that.
I'm too damn sexy for YouTube. I guess that's how it is. I don't know if Michael has got never seen one can, but one of these days we'll get him on it. He might be too sexy for YouTube too. Most of our hosts are, with the exception of maybe 2. We're not going to mention their names tonight. We don't want to offend anybody. I was talking to a good friend of mine this morning. He works at the Pentagon. I got actually 2 friends that work at the Pentagon. I got one friend that was up at the WIF facility. He was stationed in the Pentagon. Last I heard, he was actually headed for the Hawk facility. Not the Hawk facility. He was actually headed for Pine Gap. He was going down there to reset their computers. He said, his words, "This is some ancient piece of shit." He said, "Joe, they're using 450 meg computers." He said, "What the hell can they do with this?" I started laughing. And I'm like, "I don't think you're supposed to tell me that, man." He said, "Well, maybe not." He said, "But I know your clearance." So he's a good friend of mine. So all 3 of them basically told me the same thing. From what they've heard, don't expect major disclosure. One of them said that a couple of Pentagon people wanted to throw us a bone, saying that, maybe there is life out there and maybe it is visitor plane, but we can't prove it. But he said even that's too provocative. The newspapers, he said, the ones that back the Democrats, he said, maybe not so much will run with it, but all the rest of them will run with it with these crazy ass stories and alien probing and this, that, and the other thing. And he said, really? He said, we don't want to get tied up for the next decade being sued by people who think they've been probed by extraterrestrials. And since there's no way to prove it, So it's an interesting thing. And he's kind of aggravated because he said, they know something's going on. He said, no one here, he said, "Joey, you know what my clearance is, and you know what I do." He said, no one here wants to outright admit that aliens are breaking our airspace on a regular basis and just like we don't even exist. He said, but then he said there was a 4-star admiral that was in the Pentagon screaming at a general about this. And he said, y'all just think it's funny. They're buzzing our aircraft carriers, they're buzzing our airspace, and we're not even sending up airplanes. And he said, damn good and well it ain't Russians, because if it was Russians, we'd be sending out airplanes every freaking 5 minutes and escorting them out of our airspace or shooting their asses down, one or the other. He said, because they're not going to have materials that can knock off missiles. He also went into detail about an incident on the George Washington, which is the new carrier out there, where one of them buzzed a carrier. Now, I didn't know this, and I'm probably breaking some security agreement here by saying this, but I found that it has a railgun on board. Shh, I think this is top secret shit, by the way, people. It took a shot at a UFO that buzzed by and hit it.
Hmm.
Now the railguns travel around. They can travel up to, I think, Mach 15 or Mach 18. That's why they're so powerful. But still, it hit it. He said, and then the UFO came back and just like looked at it. The carrier like just kind of hovered up the side of the carrier, like, "What? Are you stupid? You know I could sink your ass right here, right?" And he said, just kind of sat there, and he said we didn't realize it until the thing fully just cloaked. It was about twice the size of the carrier. He said, so I learned something new. He said, when they come up to you, it's like an image they're portraying. He said, a lot of them are much larger than they look. And I said, well, I got a couple of friends that are on the George Washington. I said, I'm going to write out and see what I can find out. And I sent out a letter to a friend of mine, email actually, and I got a response. It must have been close to a port. And he said, oh, yeah, we had visitors. He said, that's all I'm going to tell you. He said, because I don't want to get kicked off the boat. He said, you know this is being read. He said, all I'm going to say is we had visitors and leave it at that. And that probably got him in trouble, at least somewhat. But even they are tired of constantly having to deny that things are going on. I know now for at least 5 carriers that have been buzzed. I know one carrier that's had several frequent. The Nimitz, before she's going into retirement, and that might be why they're retiring her ass. She had several visitations. And at the time, the Nimitz was a flagship. So now I think the George Washington's going to be the flagship. Oh, not the George Washington, George Bush is going to be the flagship. So I guess it'll be the one that they go meet. So for some reason, these things like to land on or get near carriers and hover above them, or go to Washington State and go to the base up there. That base has reportedly had 3 visitations that I know of. But for some reason, you don't hear about them anywhere else landing or visiting people. I have heard of one visitation in the UK, but I can't verify because I don't know anybody over there in the military of any consequence. I know some people in the military, but they're not high enough ranked to do me any good, I guess is what I'm saying. All this is weird. And then here we get this report that basically comes out and says, well, we don't know what they are, but they're not alien. Okay, if you don't know what they are, how can you say they're not alien? Why don't you just leave it at we don't know what they are? I never understood the part of they're not alien. That suggests that you know what they are, right? I mean, I don't
they're not alien.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not alien, then what the hell are they? Russian? Chinese? Indian?
Maybe they're from here, but before.
And even if they're in a dimension, they're still aliens. I don't know. It's hard to say. I would like
but
to.
They pretty much said that they pretty much said also that they're confident that it's not, let's say, an adversary like China or Russia. They're pretty confident about that. So the ones that they've researched are like, okay, they are probably otherworldly, and they're leaving it at that. But how many of these things actually come from the seabeds, from the sea, from the oceans? Of course, they can go into space, but there's probably so many already here, and it's probably why the aircraft carriers are getting buzzed, because they're that much closer than what people anticipate. If there are underwater bases all over the place, then they have the technology to pick up anything coming over.
Well, I think that we're them and they're us. I think that we're the offspring, what they created a long time ago. They're an advanced species. They know that they can't give us anything advanced because we would destroy ourselves. That's kind of how it goes with humans.
So we're like the toddlers.
I think they're the shepherds. Life is a spiritual journey, and then and then there's people who were reborn. There's all that kind of stuff like that. So it's one big system. I think that they're kind of the shepherds and they're part of it, but they really can't say, "Hey, how you doing?" because it would cause a huge problem. Worse than taking the apple off the tree of knowledge, man. Talk about your analogy. You know what I mean?
I said it from Wakanda. Wakanda forever. That's what I said it from. But anyway.
Well, if you want to talk about lizard people, if you want to talk about the lizard people, man.
Sorry, go ahead. There's a delay. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like these lizard people and all that. There's a whole issue going on there, and why there's so many serpents. I don't know. We could talk about that all night. I mean, but I don't think that they'd ever release any information unless, like what Joe said, it's need to know information. If they don't have to, they won't. I do the same thing. And I'm not the Pentagon.
on the need to know basis, and you don't need to know, is what you're saying.
Yeah, don't tell people stuff they don't need to know.
So why would we need to know right now? I mean, they are flying in our airspace, but they don't. If we leave abductions out of this, all they're doing is flying in our airspace, and they don't seem to be hurting anybody. So really, there isn't a need to know. And the Pentagon's never going to admit that they're taking our citizens, because that means they failed their job in protecting their citizens. So they can't admit to that. There's no way Pentagon can ever come out and say, well, yeah, y'all are being taken by aliens and they're experimenting on our people. Well, I mean, then the Pentagon becomes useless. They might be protecting us from Russia and China, but shit, who cares if they're Russia and China when you got something far more worse or far more technically advanced out there than
But are they not part of the problem if the government is doing reverse technology and they have their own crafts and they're also abducting citizens?
But
maybe that's why we need a right to know, because they're not all aliens. They're our crafts.
But look at if you look at what the U.S. would have, or any technologically advanced society, this is how the U.S. knows it's not Russia or China. Even with the hypersonic missiles Russia's building, the material is still man-made from here on Earth, and it can disintegrate at high speeds. So they're flying probably the most advanced missiles on the planet at the moment. Our problem is we can't build anything one piece. When you see a UFO, there's no rivets on it, there's no marks on it. It looks like it's just molded from one piece. It's either grown, cloned, or somehow the whole piece is made at once. But you don't see any seams in them or anything. That's a technology you would need for deep space flight, because anything else would probably break apart at those kind of speeds. So when you see that, you know that's not necessarily from it. Not as far as coming back from the future, anything is possible. You can't really. My wife always said the Greys were from the future. My wife always said the Greys are us from the future, and which may be possible. You can't rule out that somebody might come back, but that doesn't explain the humans or the reptilians. What the hell they're doing here? And since we have the Sumerians who talk quite a bit about the humans, and then we have the Dogon who talk quite a bit about the reptilians, and then of course we have the Toltecs, the Mayans, the Aztecs, and as well the Egyptians. So we've got civilizations that are 6,000 years old talking about advanced extraterrestrials visiting the planet, and they knew they weren't from here. That's the best part. The Sumerians and the Egyptians knew they weren't from here. At first, when you first read, they actually tell you they're from the stars. It doesn't get until much later on that it gets clouded and changed around, because religious, zealots needed to work for them. But in the very beginning, when you go read, the Dogon tell you they're not from here. They actually tell you they're from the Dog Star system. That's what they tell you their home world is. And they tell you everything about that system. They tell you about Sirius A, B, and C. They know the orbits of all three of them. They know the mass of the sun in that particular solar system. How in the hell does an African tribe living on the top of a mountain, some descendants of Egypt, know the mass of a star? They knew that a tablespoon, if you try to put it on Earth, would go completely through the core of the planet out to the other side. That's how heavy it is. How can they know that? How can they know they had a 55.5-year orbit? That's what their calendar is based on. They base their calendar on Sirius A, on the orbit of Sirius A. How in the hell did they know that? Somebody had to tell them that. They knew about advanced circulation in the body, all kind of stuff that they shouldn't have known for an African tribe living in the mountains of Egypt. And they didn't even have a written language. It was all passed down verbally. So you've got to wonder how someone knew that. And then when you go back to the Sumerians go into great detail about how man was created, who created it. They talk about the reptilians coming in and contaminating the humans that were here. I mean, these are things that you'd see like in an Orson Welles novel or a court novel or somebody else's novels. It's just not something you would think a civilization would be telling you 6,000 years ago. So they knew 6,000 years ago whoever this was visiting this planet was not from here. Now, you could simply say they came here then and left, and maybe they make little trips back and forth, but even that is pushing it. They had to have established some type of base here, somewhere like maybe in the ocean, maybe in the moon, maybe
there's several of them.
Well, I'm sure they are. But if you look at those things that who was it that put? I can't remember who found them, but somebody had put out those 4 big things parked next to the sun. That NASA kept saying, "Oh no, it's a screw up from the camera," and then another camera got it. Uh-oh. So both cameras are screwing up NASA, and this wasn't even a U.S. camera. This was a British camera.
See, that's what I mean. They're hiding stuff and they're lying. What for? With technology now,
You don't want to.
you just prove the point. Other places and people are capturing it and are making them look like they're completely unreputable. You can't, when you start like crossing the line, going over boundaries and lying about it, you're not trustworthy. That's why the people have the right to know, because maybe these organizations are not trustworthy.
Well, they're not trustworthy. I mean,
Right.
unfortunately, and the problem, especially with the United States, is they're too used to keeping secrets.
Then they've
It
gotten
takes,
away with it as a problem.
I forgot what the limitation is for FOIA. I thought it was 60 years. Do you know the United States is keeping secrets from the Civil War and so we're keeping more from secrets from when we broke away from Britain, and we're keeping when the revolution happened, we're keeping secrets from there. Well, okay, what are we keeping secrets about? What the hell? I mean, some massacre we don't know about or something, some shit. I mean,
Like I
whatever it
get,
is, we should be told.
I agree, because it's so far back, they should just have a statute of limitations on that and just fess up. And I understand the government does not want to tip its hand when it comes to weapons. Of course not, because you don't know who's going to come after you. I mean, when you're thinking about even sending signals into space, Stephen Hawking would warn about this all the time. You don't know who you're attracting, and here you are telling them we're friendly, we're unarmed, come on down, invade us. This was sort of how he looked at things. And we don't know. I mean, the species that we deal with now may not be any physical or direct threat, but what about anybody coming out of deep space that just happens upon this? Like, I get it to a degree, but when your own organizations are not reputable and cannot be trusted and are insulting the intelligence of its citizens, you know what I mean? Somewhere along the line, everybody's got freaking camera phones. Like how many times do I say it? The best stuff comes from everyday freaking people. We showed great stuff on the Gray Zone this past Saturday.
Sure.
It's like you can't deny it all. It's all there. It's been there for freaking thousands of years.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't know. Somewhere along the line, we're going to have to start telling the people the truth about everything, not just about extraterrestrials. I mean, about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we're keeping secrets from the Civil War is bullshit. I mean, it's 200, 100 and something years ago. Or from the Revolution, that's 200 years ago. Come on. Spit it out. Well, I mean, massacre, not massacre, whatever the hell it was, we need to know. I mean, it's just time to start. And I think if the government would get in the habit of just telling the truth, it would be fine. I understand things that can be harmful to society we need to keep secret. But, some things are just no. Some things just need to be put out. So, a good friend of mine wrote me a letter a couple of weeks ago. He caught something you and I were talking about on one of the Gray Zones like a month and a half ago. He writes to me, he goes, Joe, there's still secrets about Love Canal. I'm like, you're shitting me. He said, oh, no, there's a big file of it. So, John Greenwald gets tons of information from the government. He somehow he's got a knack for getting it. They had told him about some program that didn't even exist, and then 5 years later he ended up finding it. But they're not. If you go to the Pentagon, you can go to not to the Pentagon. If you go to the Smithsonian and you go to use the FOIA, you will find out that there are 2 to 5 million documents pertaining to UFOs that haven't been released, and they're well past the FOIA date, but they're not being released for any reason. They're like, screw you, we're not going to tell you about it. And then so much of when it does get released, it's just like date. And then black, date. Oh, John. They'll put like a John, and then like his first name, and then black. It's all blacked out. I mean, it's useless. It's all been redacted. Yeah, it's redacted away, and then that's what they do. They redact their little happy asses off. So yeah, they gave you the information, redacted. So then they give you shit. They give you some paper with some black ink on it.
Because you know what? Number one, information is not for everybody. There are people that would never be able to handle it. We are different. The three of us right here, you can tell us a lot of stuff, and we're like, okay, we're not going to flip out and go crazy. But people do, man. People do. People flip out and go crazy, but way less. So I don't know, man.
I don't know. I agree, Michael. I mean, there's some of us, but still, okay. Let's say Take the three of us, John Greenwald, a couple of the other people in the field, and bring them in and say, okay, look, this is what we got. We would like y'all to find a way to put this out slowly, casually, without destroying society. And, you could work with them and say, okay, this information could be handled this way, and just trickled out. But they're not even willing to do that.
There are tactful ways of doing things.
Think about it. It took, what am I, 58? It took 30, almost 40 years for my thing off the Nimitz to clear. And what I've heard lately from a friend of mine is they may reinstate them. Because so many people are talking about what's going on in Nimitz. They're talking about reinstating everybody's. It's So a UFO landed on a Nimitz. All right, they could just play it off as something new they were testing or trying to work on. Now I know of 4 occasions now when a UFO has landed on a Nimitz. So, and then they've been buzzed, played with, toyed with. So,
but that's all over the internet too. There's a lot about the Nimitz with UFOs. It's not like it's a big secret.
When I was on the Nimitz, the Enterprise was buzzed by 2 Libyan jets. You know what happened? We sent 140 jets into the air. 140, which was pretty much our whole arsenal. And after these things, they never came back. And it was just a warning to Libya. You say, do you see what you did? You stirred up the hornet's nest. See what's coming next? But we don't ever do that when a UFO buzzes a carrier, ever. Matter of fact, a lot of times the carrier will change its course to get out of the path of the damn thing, which doesn't matter because it's going to change its course too. So they just, I would love to talk to my captain about what happened on that one time. But I'm sure he's not going to ever say anything. It was funny too, that particular day, the way that went down. So many people didn't get to see it. So out of the 5,500 people that were on board the ship that particular tour, only 200 seen it. Even though 2,600 signed non-disclosure agreements, only about 200 seen it. And the people who actually witnessed somebody getting on and off was less than 50. Which, so... I mean, they don't want you talking about it. They don't want you knowing about it. They don't want you talking about it. And what went on that day? So there was Ronald Reagan came out and was on board this UFO for a couple of hours, and then it left. And the ship was just sitting there and vulnerable. There's so much stuff about that I didn't understand. You've got a multi-billion-dollar carrier now sitting in the ocean, just kind of hanging out because it can't go anywhere, with a UFO kind of bobbing on the front of it. You're like, what? I mean, making a ship bob in the front. It comes back under power. The UFO's still on it. Comes back under power. We're still not going anywhere because it won't go anywhere. It's like the lights and shit came on so everybody on board could be okay, but it still wasn't going anywhere. Then whoever was saying about air conditioner. When I was on board, there was no air conditioner on board the Nimitz. I can't speak for the day's ships, but back then there was none. Yes, it was very hot on board that damn thing. There were places that was cool, but where they kept the ammunition, they had cooling systems in there to keep it cool. Yeah, bombs and stuff like that. So you could go hang out there and stay cool. Or you could go sit in front of the carrier so you were breaking the breeze. But other than that, it wasn't real cool on board that craft. Later on, they might have installed something. But, well, I know one of the captains once said, I can't say the word he used, but you peoples, you pea peoples. What are y'all, pea peoples? Y'all got to have air conditioning. This is a warship, man. I say the warship my ass. What's the matter with air conditioning, people? Come on. I just don't understand. Here we are 60 years later. So we had Project Science, Project Guts, Project Blue Book, and whatever recently they just did, the YAP, whatever you want to call it. 4 programs the government's run on extraterrestrials. 4. This last one said 144 things wasn't identified. Project Blue Book said I think about 800 wasn't identified. So that's almost 1,000 right there. And then, so you had, oops, what happened there?
Nope, not enough.
So just in Project Blue Book and the last one is almost 1,000 they can't explain. Project Signs and Project Grudge probably were another 1,000, maybe 2,000. There's about 3,000 cases the military can't explain, and still, oh, well, there weren't aliens. Well, how the hell do you know that? What the hell were they? They weren't the Russians and the Chinese. So what were they? But they're not going to answer that, are they? They don't even want to attempt to answer that. Oh, it was an
Whatever. Fuck this.
anomaly in the sky. Yeah, my ass. An anomaly in the sky is my ass anomaly in the sky
The
flying
point
around.
is how many people every single day, because, in researching, all you've got to do is go online and look up most recent sightings, UFO sightings. There are scads of them. They are happening every single day. So, and some they got better footage than some of the military has, or at least what the military is showing. Okay, so there's tons of them out there. You can't deny that it's definitely something out of the norm. And it's, I get the concern, obviously, with the military, but Lord only knows you can't discount it all. You have to stop looking at people and saying, you're all, no, there's nothing there. We're not all crazy. A lot of people have experiences. A lot of people capture those experiences, like, it's like
So,
Sean, hey, Sean G, chasing the truth. Knowledge is power. Yes, exactly. Knowledge is power.
so according to the government, 245 million people worldwide have seen a UFO, and 41 million in the United States.
And that's only what they know about.
Yeah, that's what it is. But let me see. Let me do the math real quick. So, what is 10% of 300 million? Be 30 million, 15%. There you go. 15%. That's the golden abduction number,
Right.
15%.
And that's an estimation. That's
Yeah.
not an accuracy,
So,
I'm
I mean,
sure.
this is ridiculous. At this point, so you're calling 41 million Americans liars is what you're doing. You're saying they're
Hmm.
all lying. They don't know what the hell they saw. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, working in the field, I know a lot of people have seen Venus, sent me Venus 100 times. Oh, look, it's Venus, Joe. It's Venus. I mean, they say, oh, look, it's UFO. No, it's Venus, people. Y'all can't tell it's Venus. Or I've gotten weird ones when there's weird alignments in the sky. They're like, oh, look, no, look, it's alien. No, it's not. But that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about earlier today. If you take courses on bias and you take courses on weather anomaly and astronomy, a lot of these so-called UFOs do become IFOs, identified flying objects, but still not all of them.
Hmm.
Even by his estimation, at least half are still not becoming identified. And I guess the government doesn't love us or don't want us to know, or too scared to tell us. And it is true. Once they make this official, they're going to have to deal with the abducted people because they're going to start suing.
Well, at some point they're going to have to step up, and if this is the preliminary, because I know that when we did the gray zone, we talked about Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks, who basically stated that this happened after the preliminary document was released on June 25th. And it looks like she's put something into play, ordering the development of a plan to formalize a mission to basically identify these unidentified aircraft. Group of Phenomena Task Force. That's what it is. So, if you're looking at that, it's like governments have been doing this all along. Some governments have been waiting to see what the United States is going to come up with. And
The United
that
States
being
came with
said, now it's
President
becoming,
Cameron. That's what the United States came up with.
but
Oh, did I put
it's
that on cam? I'm sorry.
but it's becoming, let's just say we know that there have been programs in place in the past with all the governments. Some have never stopped. Russia's been very active about it. France, I mean, they don't disclose. It's always being disclosed. They're very upfront about
They
it.
run out there. We little UFO. I'm
I
sorry.
know,
That's,
right?
y'all like do that.
China's on board. Like a lot of these countries are. England's on board. England is looking to reestablish a unit. You
So,
know,
so that's the question. Why is it only the UFO USA can disclose? Why is it? I mean, basically, the Brits did disclose, and everybody just said, "So what?" The Chinese said, "Well, we think UFOs are
Russia,
real," and pretty much.
same.
But Russia was weird. Gorbachev disclosed. Putin is much more secretive about it.
I don't know because they have been disclosing since Putin's been
Yeah, but he's
in
been doing.
power. He has.
What do you call it? He's been doing trickle feed, just like the United States. He was
Right.
just throwing stuff out there, but nothing that you can say for sure is alien. Just he's got the same thing going out there that we do. People say, "Oh, it could be a UFO, could be something the USA makes." Because Russians, when you talk to Russians, because we have a big following of Russian people, in case y'all don't know that, it's almost
Hmm.
half our audience sometimes. And when they listen to this network, a lot of times they'll write in and they'll say, "Well, it's y'all Americans flying in our airspace. Quit it. You're going to get shot down. No, it's not us. We don't want to come flying around in your airspace. We don't want to start World War III. And that's the other thing. It's one of the ways it's not China, Russia, and the United States, because none of us want to start World War III. We're not looking to go to war and wipe out the planet. We all, Earth is finally in a place that we can all really enjoy our lives, and technology is getting to a good point. People's quality of life is improving for everyone on the planet. Why do you want to wipe it out now? And they don't. No one's going to survive.
The thing is, the whistleblowers from a lot of these militaries from countries around the world are the ones coming out and disclosing a lot of information. And some of it goes way back. It's not like it's necessarily all current stuff. But come on, we found some gray stuff for the gray zone. And there's a lot out there. And retired personnel are the ones coming forth. Even here in the United States, how many pieces of information did I find that was with retired personnel? And it's like mind-blowing. And yeah, Chile's a big one also, Sean, for sure. That's a hot zone down there, actually.
Yeah. Well,
it's a
pretty
really
much
big
all of
hot
South
zone
America
for UFOs.
is. I mean, when you look at South America, they're constantly having sightings down there. Now, before anybody gets crazy about it, South America is an interesting place, and there are a lot of interesting people down there. Now, and what's interesting about South America is still about half the people down there don't have TVs and cell phones and stuff like that. Did y'all know this? This is a weird stat, but in the 60s or 70s, at one time the United States had 90% of the toilets in the world, 98% of the hot water heaters in the world. It tells you how different the world was at that time. Now it's different. We only have about 40%, and it's growing. By the way, we still have 50% of the air conditioners in the world are inside the United States. That's sad. I mean, that's sad.
We're just spoiled. But you're not wrong.
Well, y'all don't need none of where you live. Yeah, I mean, shit. What do you need?
No, I've traveled many different parts of the world, and air conditioners are not a thing in a lot of these places.
Oh, no, because I was listening to a friend of mine actually in Italy. We were talking about this the other day. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm ordering one of these little things that you crush ice in that blows cold air through your house." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, we don't have no air conditioner here." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Why?"
The big hotels do, but not
big hotels do.
That's it, though.
Hey Zach, what's up?
Hey Zach, man.
He's like, no, we don't have air conditioning here. I'm like, well, I go buy one. He said, you know how much air conditioner costs in Italy? It's about 5 times what it costs in the United States. I'm like, really? I said, well, I tell you what, you send me money, I'll send you one over. You won't have to worry about it. But see, it's different. Where we have air conditioners, sometimes they have heat pumps and stuff like that. They don't really have true air conditioners in what we have. South America's getting them in because South America's unbelievably hot. But not all of South America. Remember, people, the further you go down South America, the colder it gets because you're getting closer to the Antarctic. Oh yes, people, just like going to Canada. The further you go in Canada, the colder it gets. We were talking about Saskatchewan the other day and top of it and how cold it gets. And I mean, some places just don't need it. And really, unfortunately, because of global heating, I don't want to call it global warming, global heating, it seems to be that some places that used to not need them will probably start needing them. And that's something that y'all need to come in for Wednesday. We're going to be discussing something that has to do with the environment. We're not going to discuss it tonight because it has nothing to do with this topic. But come check us out on Wednesday. We're going to be doing Essentials on Wednesday instead of UFO Undercover, and we'll be talking about those particular topics. Now, what do you mean what I want to believe? I'd leave in a heartbeat in a UFO. Don't even ask me. I'd be like, oh, come on, yeah, I'll volunteer. Come on, man, come over here. Well, as long as they were friendly and didn't want to eat you, I'd leave. I mean, I don't want to be eaten. I mean, I'm a pretty big guy, but I'm high in cholesterol for aliens. They won't eat me now. If you little skinny bastards out there, y'all better like Dell. Y'all better watch out. They might eat Dell because he's low in cholesterol. Dell. No, so I just said that because Dell had to work tonight. He's not in with us.
Terrible.
It's there's some beautiful country around here in the United States and Canada and all. And mountains are nice. I like to go visit the mountains. And from time to time, I'll go up to Arkansas.
I love mountains.
Well, when I travel out west, when I'm traveling out west, especially when I'm driving, you get to cross a lot of mountain ranges, including the Continental Divide. And I enjoy it. Like I still remember this. So Linda and I are in Tennessee. We're somewhere outside of Hot Springs, Tennessee, right? I'm driving a Toyota Corolla and rented. and we're going up this hill, and this little car got to the top of the hill, didn't want to go up it. So we went from 60 to 20. It barely made it to the top. I'm thinking, we're in trouble. It was like the Flintstones, get out there and start paddling your feet. But it was beautiful up there, and it's great country. And out there they have these hot springs that run all over. These mineral springs, you just walk up with a bottle, fill it up, drink it, go on. They even tell you, they usually have a tag telling you what minerals are in the water, which is interesting. So if you want to heal, cure, stuff like that. AZ is beautiful. AZ is hot. Arizona is a hot state, but it's beautiful out there. And I got friends that live all over Arizona. All over, literally all over Arizona. And for some reason, when we first opened up iCar, we had like 11 directors come out of Arizona. It was kind of strange. And they lived all over the place. None of them actually lived in Phoenix. They lived all around Phoenix and different suburbs around Phoenix, which was kind of strange too. But they gave us quite a few people when the Phoenix lights hit. And that's another thing. Here's the Phoenix lights. Here's a city. I'd have to go look it up. I'm sure there's 2 to 4 million people in Phoenix. And hardly, a handful, 1,100 people, 11,000 people, I forgot, seen the Phoenix lights out of 4 million? Something's wrong there. Something's seriously wrong there. So something's always bothered me about this. When you hear these mass sightings, you don't hear about how the amount of people that's in the area see them. So this is how I would think of it. So Phoenix lights is going, ooh, big thing crossing the sky. News reporter, Phoenix lights. So everybody's watching TV. Nobody goes outside to look. Well, that's not true. I know a lot of people who went outside to look and didn't see anything. But yet, I know a lot of people who were staying, like Lynn Katai. Her house is up on one of the side of one of the mountains. So she was kind of looking out straight at it. She got some pretty good pictures, got some pretty good information, but still, and she's talked about it her whole career. And still, doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to matter at all. And even though they got good footage, most people are not interested. Just that kind of shit I just don't understand. It's just, you would think people want to be more interested because this massive thing's flying over your city and you don't care. Why wouldn't you care? Come on. I'd be out there because I remember when I was a kid. This was in the 70s. NASA did an experiment because there was a lot of UFO sightings in the 70s. There was a lot. So NASA did an experiment. And they put up blue and pink clouds and released them thinking it would track the UFOs. So everybody who's seen these things, of course, was reporting UFOs, by the way. I remember sitting out in my backyard as 2 of them come past my house. I was like, wow, look at that. But I was like 11 at the time, and I knew they were clouds. Really. Even I knew they were clouds. But a lot of people didn't seem to care. A lot of people thought they were UFOs, and I don't know, people.
Sean has a question. Is there a coloration with mass sightings and abductions?
What do you mean? Explain. What do you mean by coloration?
Can you elaborate on that, Sean?
Let's see.
We're waiting for it to come up, yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at things while we're talking to people. I'm pulling up. What? I didn't say how many people live on the phone. What the hell, computer? Throw your ass out the window in a minute. This computer don't like me, this new one. It hasn't gotten used to JoJo typing yet. That's all. Let's see how many people live in Phoenix. Stevie Nicks was born in Phoenix. What did I ask if Stevie Nicks was born in Phoenix? I just asked how many people live there. So it gives me
correlation. Sorry, is there a correlation with mass sightings and abductions? There we go. That's better.
Actually there is. That's
there we go.
Good question. There actually is. So if you go to the Mexico City sighting where more than 1 million people seen this, and everybody's like, wow, that's a big sighting. Yeah, 22 million people live there. What 21 million people were. But, it's funny because the police chief saw it. The mayor saw it. Several padres. So one padre went up, Boca Raton. One padre went up on top of his church and started filming it. And the reason this thing got spotted was there was a movie, I forget the name of the movie, but a bird flew into it and fell down. Just hit it. And then a biplane was going by and clipped it and fell down. So they realized there was something parked over the city. So people went out there and started lighting fires and smoking it up. And then the smoke went up and surrounded it so you could see it. It sat there for 24 hours. And then the next thing you knew, it flew 1,500 miles to another city in less than 5 seconds. That's not our technology. You can't even say anything. Nothing can fly 1,500 miles in 5 seconds. We just do not possess that technology. But getting back to the abduction thing, so in the Phoenix Lights thing, within a week after the Phoenix Lights were sighted, I had more than 400 reports of abductions. That's us. I can't speak for any other organization, but for our organization, more than 400. In Mexico City, there's about 1,500 cases came in. Now, I can't tell you they were all alien, but there were 1,500 reports of abductions in that city after that time. Now, for us, we believe that it's 15% of any group. So if it's 2 million, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, whatever that may be, that's what we think the 15% is. But you have to remember, only 1 million seen it. So we're thinking it was 15% of the 1 million that saw it. So that would be about 150,000 people, give or take. Now we didn't get that many, but most people don't remember their abductions. Remember, only depends who you ask, but most people believe only 2% of the people who abducted remember being abducted. And I kind of agree with that because it's one of the reasons we started the blood type and the DNA studies is to find people without them knowing. So now knowing people with O negative blood are like 65 to 70% abductions. When I meet somebody with green eyes or blue eyes or O negative blood, I look in deep into their eyes and say, "Hello there, you alien contactee." And it's a good chance they are. It's more than a 75% chance that they're an abductee or a contactee. But they don't know, and they're probably never going to know. Because, ET's not stupid. ET only lets people remember that can handle it. And even the people they let remember can't always handle it. Sometimes people freak out. And I love when people tell me, Joe, they're here to save us and make the planet better and clean it up and make everything so much better. And I have to stop. I'll usually stop and pause and look around and go, are we living on the same planet? I mean, ET been here for at least 100 years. It's way longer than that, but we're just going to say for at least 100 years. And all I've seen is it getting worse. I ain't seen it getting better. I see technology spread now, and curing and lives are living longer, but I haven't really seen the fellowship of man. Our big huggy selves. As it is, I got to slap the Canadians around at least once a week. And they're Canadians, man. They're like Americans. We don't even want to think about Indians and Chinese and Russians. Or Venezuelans or Cubans. I mean, it comes to a point when you have to wonder, what's really going on. And I got to say, a lot of times when people tell me they're here to kill us or to suck our energy out or to save us, I have to look at them with a negative view. I'm not saying they're all lying. I'm saying a lot of them are lying. I'm not saying they're all lying. But there is no evidence. I'm one of these kind of guys, touch. I need physical things. So there's no evidence to suggest this at all. If you look at our planet's in a shithole place right now. Look at America. We'll just leave the planet alone. Just look at America. We're about to split and start a damn civil war. Not just us. Half the planet is. Look at the Russians. Half their civilization wants to get rid of Putin any way it takes. It's just, and if China could figure out how to do it, Ping would already be dead. So, no, we're not a peace, love, and light planet. We're not even close to it. And I don't even see anybody trying to get us there. And why would they tell one person that had no shot in hell of bringing us there? Now, if you abducted Joe Biden and he come out tomorrow, peace, love, and light, people. We need love, light, and laughter. That's how you change the world. Okay, that would be different. And some people would take it serious, and you'd see more of a population movement towards it. And then all of a sudden, if you see Putin and Ping come out and say that, oh, shit, overnight the planet would transform, but that's not what you're seeing. So why wouldn't they take them and transform them? Why would they take Joe Schmo that really can't affect any change? The communicators and keepers for the aliens are fine, and they do a job, and they do put information out. But the aliens don't expect them to change the world. They just expect them to educate the other contactees. They're not so much worried, and that's the other problem. And I hate to say it like this, but I don't think ET gives a good shit about the other 6.5 billion on the planet. I think they only care about their contactees. I have not seen any evidence anywhere that suggests that they care about the whole entire planet. Everything I've seen suggests they only care about their own.
So they're abductees or contactees, and if you've been fortunate enough to have an experience with them, basically, you stand a little bit better chance to the rest of the planet. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, basically so. So, and I hate to say it like this, I always get a lot of letters. Oh, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. But people, think about this. I've been in this field for almost 40 years. I've got by the end of this year, we'll have close to 70,000 cases on file. No one in the field knows as much as we do anywhere. And I'm not saying we're right on everything because we've had to change shit ourselves. In the last 20 years, I've changed several things because new information came in. They suggested we were wrong. And as a researcher, you will never see me hesitate to change something if I think it's wrong. But for some reason, MUFON, you can forget it. I have never seen the Star Team or anyone at MUFON ever say they were wrong about anything, and they're wrong about a lot. I have schooled their asses on more things than I can even concentrate on. Hey, Sean, what you doing, man?
Hey, I decided to pop
come
in.
Yeah, come on in. You know you're always welcome to come hang out with us, man.
Hi, Michelle. How are you? Thank you.
Good, darling. How are you?
I'm trying to deal with the heat here.
Oh, yes.
All right, who's Carlos Danger, man? Carlos Danger, who are you, man? You better give me a sign that I know you before I let you in here with us. It looks familiar for some reason, but I'm not sure why. We're good people.
Hello.
Hello, Carlos. Hello. Man. Have you probed us lately? No, man.
Carlos Dangers.
I love that nick, by the way.
Would you call me a nit?
well, Sean, to go back to the green eye thing. So this was weird for us. Okay, we start this project. We're 10 years into this project, and I forgot who it was, November or Demi. One of them calls me up, and he said, "Have you looked at the website lately?" I said, "No, I haven't had a chance." He said, "Have you looked at the correlation on the cases we have on paper?" I said, "No, not really. I wasn't that interested." So I go to the website that day. I'm like, so on the website, 34,000 people had taken this study. And out of that, 65% were O negative, 58% were green-eyed or blue-eyed. So I was like, oh, shit, well, there is a correlation. So then I go get into the ICAR database. I call Kelly, a friend of mine. Kelly, what the hell? So she sends me over. Kelly had made this really cool database for us that cross-referenced everything. So I typed in green eyes. Boom, man, all kind of people come. I typed blue eyes. Boom, all kind of people come. So I type in RH negative. Boom, like more than half the cases. So here we go now. We're at like 61,000. And at least 65% were RH negative and green eyed blue. I'm like, what the hell? I said, because, for me, it was weird. Because it only RH negative only represents 15% of the world's population. And blue and green eyes only represent 4% of the world's population. So I'm thinking, how in the hell can so many of them be abductees or contactees? Well, apparently ET likes that. I don't know if they're feeding off the blood. And then there's the other problem. Until 35,000 years ago, RH negative didn't exist, and neither did green or blue eyes. So you got to kind of step back and say, why? And why was there a change? Why would Mother Nature, after 2 million years of evolution of brown hair, brown eyes, brown skin, decide that we need RH negative? RH negative kills babies. So why would she do that? Why would Mother Nature decide, I'm going to kill 15% of the babies born in the world?
Mutation.
You could say mutation, but there is no mutation of RH negative. It is a mutation, but it isn't actually a mutation from an A or a B or an O for that matter.
Well, look at red-haired people. It's a mutation.
That's what they say. But they do say it's a mutation, but is it really a mutation? Was not entered when see, this is a real problem for science. And the three guys working on it, and these are real big scientists that were working on this with us. When they saw this data, they were confused. And then when they looked at the data that from all of South America and Central America is 98% O. And by the way, that is where the majority of sightings happen, is in those two areas. By far. They have more sightings than almost the rest of the world combined. Why? Were they put there? Were they screwed with? What the hell was going on? Why is this section of the planet? And then remember, a whole section of them have different skulls than we do. And we had a whole race down there making their skulls look like the alien skulls. There was a lot of activity in South and Central America, and they seem to have a lot of this. And no one can explain. When I ask the scientists, why does Rh negative exist? You know what they tell me? It shouldn't. There was no reason for that kind of mutation. There was no reason for a mutation to kill babies. And all of, by the way, the red hair, the green eyes, the blue eyes, the O negative all happened at the same time. It all came in at the same time. Before the Rh negative, none of this existed. The race was brown hair, brown eyed, brown skinned. That's what they were. It was, different shades of brown, but that's what it was. And nobody knows why Mother Nature decided to create something that would kill babies and create mutations across the entire planet. Now, 35,000 years later, Rh negative's got a firm hold on the planet. 15% of the world's population now has Rh negative blood. How the hell did that happen? How can that even work? If it wouldn't be for man, I don't even think it would work. If we wouldn't have figured out the anti-denogen D gene, I don't think it would have worked. So something knew ahead of time that we were going to do this. To me, this is a mind-boggling problem. And to science, the three blood guys that worked with us, the one guy was great. He's the one that's responsible for all the maps on the life. This dude is one of the biggest hematologists on the planet. And when we originally started working with him, this is what he told me. Joe, I'm fascinated by this, but I don't want my name mentioned on anything. That was in the first 5 years. After the 6th year, he said, this is a problem everybody needs to know about. He said, this should not be existing. None of this should be here. Science cannot explain this. He said, and then he asked me, called me, he said, what do you think, God did? I said, no, I don't think God had anything to do with this. I said, maybe extraterrestrials, but not God. I said, and then here we are, 35,000 years later, and no one can explain why we have it. But then there's other weird things. See, we know it's not a mutation because it doesn't contain Rhesus monkeys gene. So Rh negative doesn't contain the 2% of Rhesus monkeys genes that Rh positive do. So anybody who's Rh negative is not related to the Rhesus monkey, which suggests it's a separate species. See, if we shared a common genome with the regular Rh positives, then we'd have the Rhesus monkey in our blood, but we don't. It's a separate genome, and they're kind of like, it's really confusing to them. They just don't understand. And then Rh negative, O negative, is the purest form of blood known to man. It's a universal donor and the purest form of blood known to man. But before 35,000 years ago, it didn't exist. But now, today, it's one of the biggest things that can happen. I mean, we use it to fill up hospital blood banks, so we don't have to carry all of different kind of bloods. We do all of our hematological research on it. It's like something new that in the future we would need this. Could have been. I'm not ruling out it was Mother Nature. I'm not going to ever rule it out because I don't know. And I can't ask E.T. E.T. won't tell me. He said, hey, Bob the Gray or Bubbles the Gray, could you please tell me why you did this? And, I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm being honest about it. I wish I knew. If I could figure out the answer to this, we could all be millionaires and retire, man. It's a weird thing. It's an interesting thing. Go ahead, Sean, or Mike, whoever that was.
No, for me, I got O negative blood, and I was in Scotland in '81 for the service, and in 1985, I donated blood all the time because I had the O negative. I mean, they would call me once a week, and I was in Scotland in '81, and come to find out that I'm not allowed to give blood no more because the mad cow disease that started there in '85, they wouldn't let me donate blood no more. And that kind of hurts because I know I got the best blood on earth, but
yeah, you do.
And they just won't let me do it. But with talking about the eyes, it's pretty interesting because my eyes turn 3 different colors, and I'm telling you the truth. When I'm normal, I'm brown.
Well,
right?
mine do the same, so I'm with
Cool.
you.
And then when I'm spiritual or when I'm working in with the spiritual ghost, whatever, if I'm mediumship or whatever, they turn like wolf eyes, gray and blue, and they're really cool. But when my hormones are kicking in, they turn green. So I don't know what, 3 different sets of colors for eyes. I'm glad, Michelle, you said that because I know I'm not the only one.
My daughter's goes between brown, yellow, and green. My oldest stepdaughter does. It's weird, and I've seen other people do it. Mine just either go light green or dark green. I got really, when I shouldn't say it like this, but I want to get loaded, like when I've been drinking, My eyes get this like glowing deep green, and people tell me about it all the time. I really, 'cause I guess maybe it's the red eyes that set off the green. You know what I mean? The red on the white sets off the green. But this all weirded me out. I'm gonna be honest about this because when I found out, just 'cause I'm both O negative and green eyed, when I found out about this, I kind of backed away from it for a couple of months. It scared me a little bit. It freaked me out a little bit. I was kind of like, what the hell's going on here? And then I got to thinking, did we do this because we were this? But then I found out most of the people on the staff were O positive. Were RH positive and brown eyed. So then I got to thinking, okay, we're okay because I just read the stuff. I'm not. It's hard to explain, but as international director, I set up the programs, and then I assign them to other people, and then they send me the data. So I don't really go in and do the data; they do the data. It keeps my hands out, and it keeps the data honest. Is the best way to say it because it crosses through 10 or 15 people, and they all go over each other. Then they send it to me, and then Joe looks at it and decides what we're going to do with it. So it keeps me honest, and it doesn't allow because I hate to say it like this, but I've watched other organizations do this study, and it always turns out to be whatever the person in charge is. That's what blood type it turns out to be. So it kind of bothered me. So I just keep my fingers out of it. That way I'm clean, and the organization handles that research, and it goes along pretty smoothly that way. You got it's hard these days to do. I want to do honest research that's going to help people, and the O negative thing is a very interesting thing. Just like when we found out that, so because of the RH negative thing and the RH positive thing, we were able to backtrack our contactees back to about 11 spots where there seems to have been mass abductions, say 30 or 40,000 years ago. Maybe the ones that are coming forward today, that's their family lines. And the way we did it is with the blood types and then the contactees we already had on file, we started looking backwards to where they live. Then we started looking backwards to concentrations of these types of bloods and these types of eye colors. And then we found out that a lot of these people, a lot of these people were being brought forward, or their family lines were being brought forward to today, which made a very, very interesting discovery. So we can actually even tell you where we think, and I got to use the word think, where we think a lot of these abductions originally started. Very interesting stuff. Wait, what was that, Jason? Sean's head up there?
I'm good.
No, I just seen Sean and wrote something. We got Sean G in with us too, Sean. We got two. We got Sean. So we got Chasing Prophecy and Chasing Truth in with us tonight. So, it's easy to get confused. Oh, we lost Mihail and see Lockbeard in there. It's just, we want the data to stay as pure as we can because in the end, it doesn't do any good to fudge data. And I've told directors this all the time. It's like when people go out and fudge the numbers on their archives. Why? It's not going to do you any good. You're not going to make any more money off by lying on your numbers. So, and it's not going to help you any. You just everything wants to be. You want to be everything to be honest, and that way, I'm one of the few like us. We're one of the few people who actually make all of our archive numbers available. You can go to any of our sites, and it tells you how many clicks, whether it's good or bad. Somewhere you might go, there might be 100,000 listens. Someplace you might go, it might be 5 listens, but we still make them available because we want you to see what it is for what it is. Because if you don't, why even bother if you're going to lie about everything? I mean, come on. Jackie asking that question. You mean the Greys? No, my wife and I argued for a decade about where the Greys come from. She really believed they came from the future, and they were here to help level the planet out.
Hi, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle, welcome back. And I always thought, well, maybe so. But when you look around at the world, we live in a piss shit world, so I'm not sure if that's what was going on. That's always been my problem with all the people who told me the aliens are here to help us. And I always say the same thing. Why don't you take a look at the planet and then come back and tell me that? Now, in 100 years, if it changes and I'm still alive, which I doubt, but if I am, I'll retract that story. And disclosure, Lockbeard, I don't know if disclosure is going to ever happen. I really... My 40 years in this field, how can I say this? I think disclosure's already happened for the people that needs to know. That's the best way to say it. For the people who the aliens think need to know, it's already been disclosed to them. As far as everybody else, I don't think they care. And as far as our government goes, I'll say this again, I've said this 100 times, you're not going to get disclosure to the government until you give them something. Because let's say tomorrow the Pentagon says, okay, guys, we decided to tell y'all the truth. It's extraterrestrials that are buzzing our ships, coming into DC, flying around. So, in 1950, ETs flew over I won't say ET, UFOs flew over the White House and they hovered over the White House for about an hour, or about a half hour. Okay, in 2000, exactly 50 years later, it repeated. So in 1950, they did scramble whatever the little planes they had were back in the day. They go look. Of course, it was nowhere to be found. And in 2000, they scrambled one F-16 to go see. Of course, nothing was there to be seen. It was so weird. It was like an anniversary. It was like the UFO came back to say, "Hey, it's 50 years later. Y'all ready? Oh, y'all still stupid," and it just left. But it's weird how they cycle through, and it's weird. And this is what it really kickers, and this is where it always gets me in trouble. I don't think the aliens are here for us, per se. And what I mean by that is their actions seem to suggest that they're running a lot of programs, and we're just part of one or two of the programs. But they have other stuff going on. It's like they're running programs in between themselves. They're doing a lot of off-world missions. They seem to be coming and going an awful lot. That's why you see so many portals and stuff. So that doesn't suggest necessarily they're here for us. It suggests that they're using our planet as a landing form, and while they're here, they might as well study the humans because they're here. But it doesn't suggest that we are the vital part of their program. And when you talk to contactees, they kind of verify that. And the fact that the contactees are being taught a lot and shown a lot, but they don't necessarily feel like we're the vital part of the program. We're just part of the program. And it makes sense. There's 3 types of aliens here abducting people. None of them are really killing anybody, eating anybody, or carving them up. Every now and then some people go missing for whatever reasons you want to say. But it just doesn't seem like ET's here exactly for us.
I don't think we
Hey,
have.
Joe, were you disappointed on the results of that, or did you kind of know it was going to happen?
No, so far everything's happened just the way I said it was going to happen. What's up, Carlos?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. A little low, but go ahead.
Oh, how's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's way better.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I wasn't disappointed. I just was right where it was going to happen.
I don't think we have all the facts.
Oh, I agree with that.
That's for sure. And we can't really comment unless we have the facts. I mean, it's a numbers game, I mean, like with anything, if no one's forthwith with you, you're not going to know anything. And that's pretty much it. So the facts are really going to come from the people who aren't, like what Michelle said earlier, the people who aren't within the circle, the people who are outside the box, who are actually the UFO investigators in the field, taking their time. I mean, really, they don't get paid either. So it's people who really have a passion for something. But here's the government saying it's a weather balloon, and here's these people with really good footage or good experiences. But my problem with experiences is, who knows if they're really being honest, or some people seem like they're honest, but some people are good liars too. I mean, or not even liars, just they believe that what happened, that their own perception of something, right? So, I mean, as for who these aliens are, and even the word aliens, I think, is probably a derogatory term. It's more like, I think they're from here, actually. I think they came here from somewhere else a long time ago, like 1 million years ago, and they've been here. And then we're kind of an offspring of their design. And if you look at, so I mean, but look, so in an investigation, if you don't know the truth of something, you look at how things are affected by that truth, all right? You look at the outskirts of it. Well, you look at the ramifications, you look at the residual effect, when it comes to humans and all life on this planet have ACT and G as a DNA code. ACTG, that's it, those 4 elements. You can put that together any which way and come up with people's hair color, eye color. You could basically print whatever you want. If you had a magical machine, you could make a rabbit, you could make a dragon, you could make whatever you wanted. It'd be your design. So I think that is definitely a residual effect on a basis of technology. Also, we're very limited as humans. I mean, we don't breathe air, we don't drink water, we don't eat some food, we're going to die. And we're very fragile on top of that. So, and we're restricted. We can't even go to the bottom of the ocean. We can't even go to the depths of the polar ice caps. We can't even go into space beyond the little bit that we got to. So I think we're babies. were babies,
Mhm.
violent little
Mhm.
babies too, like
But, yeah.
kittens. Kittens where they're like, they put their little claws. Meanwhile, you hold them up and look at them, and they're still like, you know what I mean? like
We're like
that.
toddlers. We're still trying to eat dirt.
Exactly.
We ignorant apes, that's for sure.
I don't know about apes because there's lots of apes around. I have a problem with I have a problem with their evolvement. I don't think that humans evolved. I think humans were created from other things. So,
Well, the problem is we do. Well, no, we don't. Some of y'all have Reese's monkey in your blood. I can't speak for everybody, but I don't have none of that Reese's shit in my blood. I ain't got no monkey tail coming out from me, people. But it's funny because if you go back to the Sumerians,
I've never seen you with a tail though. I've never. You get up and pull your pants down. You got to prove it to everybody.
I don't scare these poor people.
you got to prove it.
I don't scare
Carlos Danger says, "Live
dangerous. We got
dangerously."
people on Mars. Sean, I have no doubt we have people on Mars, or have had people on Mars for a while now. But when you look at the sighting, so 22 million people in Mexico City, 4 million people in the greater metro area of Arizona, 2 million people live in the city. So that's 26. New York at the time was about 6 million. That's over 30 million. Belgium was about 7 million. So in these 6 or 7 places, you're talking 50 million people. And out of that 50 million people, about 1.4 million people saw these UFOs. So you got to ask your question why the rest of them didn't see it. And I think it's self-explanatory.
North America.
The
gist of the sightings.
No, just sightings in North America. That's the problem. They're not in South America.
Well, you know what, Joe? Ever since I started this over a year ago, and we talk a lot about UFOs, I honest to God can't find any. I mean, I literally go out in the woods to where it's like totally all sky, and I cannot find a UFO.
You want a UFO? Stay in a city. That's where most of the sightings happen. Is in the cities. Yeah, majority of abductions and sightings happen in big cities, and you know why? That's where the majority of people are. Somebody asked me about that one time. Well, wait, they only abduct people in trailer parks way out in the woods. I said, no, that's bullshit. The majority of sightings and majority of abductions happen in big cities. Like Belgium, that was a UFO hung over there. The Belgium city, this thing flew over 4 different days. The triangle was so big, it engulfed the entire city when it went over. Tampa Bay sighting, another one. Big UFO came flying over the city. Mexico City, same thing. The size of the UFO was the size of the city. That's how big the thing was. But yet, only 1 million people seen it. You got to wonder why the other 21 million people didn't see it. If you go back to the Sumerians, and in some ways, Michael's right about what he was saying. Michelle was right, and some other. But if you go back to the Sumerians tell you a race of human-looking aliens came here somewhere a few million years ago and decided to create a race of slaves because they couldn't breathe the atmosphere. And they talk about this. They built 2 great white dome cities because they couldn't breathe the atmosphere here. They created a race like themselves to go out and work the planet and do things and create colonies. Well, that race decided for some reason they didn't want to be, hey, we don't want to do slave labor. We're omnipotent super beings. Why the hell are we doing this? They created what the Sumerians call the 7 creations of man. The last creation was almost like us. Almost. They looked like us. They acted like us. But they really didn't ask why. They weren't fully sentient. They could procreate. They could make beer. They could go out. But they didn't ask questions of who they were, what they were, why they were doing this. They said, and Sumerians talk about this, and the Nemos, the Dogons talk about this. The Nemos, who were reptilians, started coming over there and stealing the women and raping them and bringing them back pregnant. Those women were born that had different children. The children born were different. They didn't look different, but they acted much different. So in case y'all didn't know, we all have a reptilian section of brain. This is science fact. This is what makes us who we are. Without this, we would be docile little shits that wouldn't even care.
I wouldn't be able to do it, man.
You couldn't do anything.
I wouldn't be able to do it. Those women are very hairy. Yeah. You're talking about people who didn't bathe, or there wasn't a lot of that going on.
No, there wasn't none of that. You're right. There was none of that going on.
It's not like one Playboy moments.
Yeah, so these reptilians kept doing this for about, I think they said about a couple of 100 years. Finally, the race was big enough and had integrated enough into the local population that it became sentient. And they wanted to know why they were slaves. They rebelled and took over.
On tomorrow night's Discovery Paranormal, I will be talking about the Ant people and the Hopi Indian. And within 2 weeks, I'm going to be out in that region, and I'm actually going to talk to a medicine man who sees constant UFOs at night. I mean, these people live on a reservation in the middle of nowhere, and they also have relatives all around the area. But what's interesting is, see, now the Hopi, when the Ant people took them underground, some major cataclysm was happening. It used to be all plush and green out there. And then they took them underground to save them. They taught them about stars. They taught them about math. And they taught them about, how to build into the walls. There's also Aztec development northeast of there. But I'm focused on this place called Shiprock. And
I've been there.
Shiprock is now Navajo territory. They had a battle with the Hopi and took it, But Shiprock is very protected. The energy there is insane. That's where my friend had my friend's friend's dad got attacked by a skinwalker when he was on route. It was actually at that time Route 666, and then he was going south from Shiprock down to Gallup, and then just past Shiprock, he got attacked by this thing going 65 miles an hour. This thing was running at him, trying to get him, clawing at him. He was in a truck, a big dually too, so not something small. And there was a harrowing experience. But when you talk to people in Farmington and that area, they have lots and lots and lots of stories. It's not government stories. These aren't stories for a sci-fi. This is the real deal. But what is it with Shiprock? And there's a big volcano west of there, and
that's use of volcanoes.
Yeah, but you see now, Shiprock is actually a rock formed by it was a volcanic plug. They think it goes down at least like 8,000, 9,000 miles. So it's pretty amazing, the whole region, and I'm excited to even talk about it tomorrow night.
It's an interesting place because where was it in Washington State, Mount Rainier? We've got 200 witnesses of one coming out of the top of the mountain while it was kind of still heated up.
The Hopi Indian dated at 17,000 years ago. That's before the Ice Age. So that major cataclysm would have been the Ice Age. It would have been whatever happened to cause the Ice Age. And they took these guys underground, which I think is and it's also connected to Aztecs, which I think is really cool. The whole thing is really cool.
Yeah, no, they're always, the natives are always interesting because they got it. Oh, you mean, Chris, the Greys are funny because when we were just talking about the reptilians and the humans having that, if you look at the Egyptians, they have the same skull as what the humans are described as having. Yep. Human skulls are long this way. So they're not, so they're long and deep. The same width on their face like this. They're also taller and bigger than us, but their skulls go deeper because they got a bigger brain than we do. The reptilians, the Greys didn't show up at the same time. The Greys are a much later interest into all of this. So the first hieroglyphs of the Greys ever seen is about 3,000 years ago. And it's also included with the ones where you see the little helicopters and little things in the same prefix. So, and then you see it in a couple other hieroglyphs along there. And then you see it in Toltec and Sumerian text down there. Toltec and Mayan Aztec text, or writing. So you see it down there as well. So it looks like the Greys came in much later. They might have been brought in O negative. It was funny because one guy said the humans was A, the reptilians were B, and the Greys were O plus RH negative. They said most people give the Greys credit for bringing an RH negative.
I want facts. I want evidence, man. I want to see the real stuff. I want to be able to have that conversation. I'm not happy with lights in the sky. That's bullcrap. I want the real.
I gave up on lights in the sky 3 decades ago. I like to go watch them now. I can take you. Anybody wants to go over see? I'll show you lights all day long. We'll go down to Eglin. I'll show you lights in the sky all day long. You might even get abducted.
Meet me at the Four Corners, man.
But know this, people. You're not going to get taken if you're not part of the program. They don't randomly take humans. That's bullshit.
Maybe I'll take them. You ever think of that?
They ain't taking it.
Danger don't mess around.
I got to see that one.
Hi, Jeannie.
I'll take
pay
that
money
ship.
for that.
I'll take that ship.
Mike's going to be amazed when that 3 foot Grey grabs his 6 foot ass by his foot and starts dragging him down the hallway. It's
I would
really
literally
strange.
pay money.
Well, you look, next time you're down, this is a total truth. So we were having this conversation, just same conversation about 10 years ago in here when 15 people came down to see me. So we loaded up in 2 trucks. We actually packed 10 people in a Ford F-150, and we took the other ones, packed them into a Mustang, and we drove down. We left my house in the afternoon, and when we hit interstate, it was fog. It was fog the entire 30 hours we were going. It was crazy. So the first place we stopped is Gulf Breeze, Florida. We get out the truck. This is such a creepy thing. So we broke up into 2 packs. The women were walking in front of us. The guys were walking behind us and walking behind them. So we're walking and we kept seeing these little footprints about yay big. We're like, what the hell is that? Some kids out here with the girls or something? We knew there weren't no kids there. So all of a sudden, you hear the girl start screaming. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So we run it, trying to see what's going on. I don't see anything but fog. They're screaming about these little gray things running all around them and shit. So I'm like, y'all crazy. Ain't nothing out here but us. Just calm down. So I said, let's go over to the gazebo and just chill, have a smoke, have a drink, just chill out. So we get in the gazebo. Now, Mike is my friend from Canada. He came all the way down from Canada for this. We're sitting in this little gazebo. It's actually a big gazebo, but we're sitting in this, all 15 of us spread out. And I still remember Mike said, what the is that? And you see this gray. He's standing in the hallway. He's backlit. He's standing in the hallway. He's only about yay tall. So he's standing there. Mike's like, what the hell? So he walks in between us, climbs up the pole backwards, just goes up the pole, feet up, head down. I was like, what? So he's sitting up at the top of the pole. Then he comes down. He looks at Mike like, it's just how he did it. He shook his head. He did like this. And then a doorway opens up, and he kind of disappears in the door. Well, I'm like, okay, it's cool. 7 hours went by in that little couple of times. So everybody's seen him. All 15 of us seen it. Now, the thing of it is, all 15 of these people were contactees. So it was a strange event. The whole thing was weird. So we're all freaked out about it. So we leave, right? So we're driving. We go down to Blue Mountain Beach. So we're standing at Blue Mountain. The fog is so thick we can barely see each other next to us. All of a sudden, we grab hands and we make a circle. The sky just opens up. It's just a big clear spot in the circle we got. Just crazy. There's fog everywhere, but we're holding hands. It just clears out. So we're sitting there. This thing comes down, lands on the beach. Everybody's just freaked at this moment because you remember it's half guys, half girls. I mean, everybody's freaked out, running in different directions. It's crazy. So I'm like, no, come back. So we all get back. We're all standing inside the circle. Nothing came out to craft. 3 hours went by.
Pictures?
Pictures. Everybody was so panicked they like to get scratched their ass.
Just saying, disclosure, pictures.
We living out anyway, we're too close. What I learned a long time, I learned this 35 years ago. If you're within a mile of a craft, you're not going to get a picture of it. You're wasting your time. And I don't think they do it on purpose. It's something to do because I've watched when I used to wear digital watches, it would freak them out, make them run backwards. It actually makes my Seikos run backwards. If you get too close, your Seikos will start running backwards. Whatever kind of field they're giving off screws up your camera, screws up your phone, you're not getting any pictures. But if it gets out past a mile, you can get a picture, you can zoom in. But like the one I've got on the website on the Alien Enigma site, that was a mile away. That's why I could get that. But if you're inside that mile, you're not getting anything. It distorts everything. Plus, it makes you feel, I don't know how to explain it. It makes you feel like there's ants crawling over your body. There's none, but it's some kind of energy that's running out there. And what's weird about that is that's the same place where Linda got both arms burnt, 3rd-degree burns, that looked like somebody took a diamond grill and just heated it up and then wrapped it around her arms. Now, she went to the hospital for this. And they took pictures, had evidence. It was gone the next day. Even a doctor freaked out. It was there, and it was gone. He was like, what the? He said, that's like impossible.
Freaked out like he jumped out of the window and was screaming.
No, he freaked out like he freaked out. He thought it was a hoax. He was going to report us and stuff. But he remembered feeling it with his hand, so he knew it wasn't a hoax.
You think it was abuse, spousal abuse, like George?
Yeah, at first he did. Honestly, he did. He thought somebody actually burned her up, and then of course the next day it was gone. It was
crazy.
Just weird. But then we left that place. We went down to Watercolor. That's the name of the place. Is Watercolor. It's a beautiful place, by the way. I call it. This is what America should be. If you ever get down to Watercolor, you'll know what I mean. It's how America should live. So we're standing on the backside of the beach. There's all 15 of us just sitting there, and we're watching this. So you see this. You see the waves are breaking, right? But they're breaking out about 50 feet off the beach, and you see this, and you're like, no, I'm seeing things. And there's people all up and down the beach. It's way early in the morning. They're all up and down the beach out there doing whatever, screwing, humping, running around naked. It was really weird. And all of a sudden, you hear this just quiet. What I mean by quiet is you don't hear the waves breaking anymore. You don't hear the wind blowing. You don't hear the waves breaking anymore. You don't hear any noises like that whatsoever. Then you see what looks to be openings in the water, and it looks like the grays are sitting on top of the wave, just cruising it on top of the wave. I call it grays surfing, and I got so much shit for calling it that. So you watch these things come in, and then all of a sudden you see the two people there, they're gone. We actually witnessed, all 15 of us actually witnessed an alien abduction in progress. It was a creepy, crazy, weird experience. Nobody will ever forget. Since then, 3 of the witnesses have died, but still the other 12 are still around, and they've actually given testimony to it. It was strange. And when we all got home the next day, I said, "Okay, who wants to be regressed first?" No one wanted to be regressed. No one wanted to be regressed. I was like, no. So, and it was funny because that one I actually had my camera out. I'm trying to get some pictures. So you go, and when you looked at the film, because it was old 240 Kodak film, it was just white. There was nothing on it but white. And I asked him what happened, and he said, "Were you taking a picture of the beach?" I said, "No, I was looking straight out of the water, hitting the flash." And I said, "I even took a couple without the flash." He said, "Every picture you had was just solid white." Then he said, "Well, maybe it was an error with the film, except for the last 2 pictures had these weird double streaks going across them, which I have no idea what they were." But we watched this.
Like magnetics, maybe?
So yeah, it has to be. We watched this abduction for a good 5-6 hours. We watched them take them, and we watched them bring them back. And it was the craziest. It's not the first time I've seen it. It's not the last, but I have, since I know so many abductees, I have a knack for finding spots where it's going on. But it was creepy. It was scary. It was weird. And I still remember who it was, a Kelly, a G, or John. Somebody said, "They did this just to reinforce this in us, didn't they?" I said, "Exactly." I said, "We're researchers. They knew what we were doing. They knew we were there. They had no doubt we were there. It was just to reinforce the group. That's all it was for. It was just to let them know, yes, you're on the right track. You're doing the right thing. Keep moving in this direction." Now, by doing that, it doesn't mean it really freaked everybody out. It took everybody a good 6 months to get past it, to get back to work, because everybody was just in awe. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. Everybody was just like, it was weird. But I'll take anybody who wants to go down there any time. I have no problem. We'll go down there all the time. And
I want to go. I want to go.
Time you down,
me too.
Yeah, why not?
Field trip.
Road trip.
So wait, what time is it? Okay, we got a couple minutes. So I told somebody about the surfing alien thing. There's about 8 people called me. I don't know, you're fucking lying, blah, blah, blah. I said, "I'll tell you what, come on down, we'll go see if we can reproduce it." "Oh, no, it'll never happen." I said, "Come on, what are you, chicken shit? Fly down. Come on, I'll let you stay at my house somewhere. You can stay at a hotel, whatever you want." So about eight friends come down, right? 4 more directors and 4 random people that listened to the show come down. So everybody's got different cars. We're all packing the cars. We drive down there. We park on the beach. So it's so funny. These 2 gay guys are humping on the beach, right? I still remember. Oh my goodness, my God! It's like, oh my God, she's walking like.
I know they weren't aliens.
Oh no, well, if they were. Anyway, I don't want to talk about
Aliens.
So we set up this tent thing so we could, keep some of the wind off us, because it's kind of windy that night. We had a couple of chances at this. We had the tent, and we had there sitting there eating something. And I still remember my stepdaughter was there. She goes, "What the f- is that?" And I said, and so you look out and you see, and I swear it looks like they're surfing on the damn waves. And I know they're not. It's like an air cushion between them and the water, bringing them into the shore, because they're wherever they were outside, they opened up in these little holes and came in. And so they got like 5 couples, all lovey-dovey on the beach, all hugged up, hanging out, just doing whatever they were doing. And one thing about Golf Breeze is we knew earlier on that they bring people there. Golf Breeze has a knack for people being called there. There's a lot of mass abductions happen down there. There's a lot of abductions, period, happen down there. So we're sitting there, and I still remember Sherry. She goes, "Oh my fucking God, you're not lying. Here it comes." And she's sitting there, and she got scared because it kind of looked, and it wasn't a little short gray, it was a tall gray, it was about 5 or 6 feet. He looked over at us like, "What the hell?" And then he grabbed these 2 people and just took them. And she freaked, went to go run out there. I said, "Don't go running anywhere." I said, "You go outside this tent, more than likely they taking you too." So they took everybody. When we went out there, we walked up and down the beach. There had to be 50, 60 people out there. After it happened, there was no one but us. No one but us. And we videotaped that. We got the tape of everybody being out there, and then we got the tape of everybody being gone, and then we got the tape of everybody being back. And the way we found this out was by accident. Lynn and I went out there one night on Golf Breeze, and they had all these cars parked in all, they got all these parking places up and down the beach. So there's all these cars, and there's nobody in any of them, nobody on the beach anywhere. 5 o'clock in the morning, we come back, everybody's like stretching in the car like they just woke up. Well, we know they weren't there because we've been filming all night. So that's what got us started on this investigation. And it's so funny, though. So everybody's all being quiet, and everybody's scared now. most everybody, these other 7 people with me were scared. They had seen something they weren't supposed to, and they were shitting. I mean, they were really scared. And I'm like, just calm down, calm down. I said, we can leave. I said, no, we ain't leaving until they bring him back. And I'm like, I said, if we leave out of this place right now, something bad going to happen to us. I said, just leave it alone. Just sit and be still. About 3 hours passes. Dawn's just about to crack. Boom, you start seeing people coming back. Bam, 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 bam. And one of them got a videotape of somebody being put back. You see this, it's like orb light, and then there's 2 people there. And they're all like still hugging on each other and shit. It is so creepy, weird to see this. It's not the only abduction. I've seen abductions in other places besides here, but to watch this happen. It's exhilarating, scary, and pisses you off all at the same time. Because one, these people are being taken against their will, and it happens to any abductee, they're being taken against their will. But then it's so exhilarating to watch this happen and to prove this to yourself that this is a real phenomenon. That so I tell people anytime I'll take anybody who wants to go down there, I said, just know something's going to probably happen to you. just know something's going to go on. And, I've never brought anybody down there where we didn't lose time ever. I imagine they take us along with them sometimes as well, but it is a way that they kind of let researchers know, hey, look, you're on the right track. This is what you're doing. Gulf Breeze has been a mass abduction place for at least 20 years, 25 years for sure. And that's where Lynn and I seen the ship where they were bringing them on board the craft. And to sign a waiver to go, no, you just come on down, Sean. And there's places you can get in because now, see, this tells me that Eglant's in on this because Eglant's one of the biggest non-nuclear bases on the planet. It's where they test all the non-nuclear weapons. So Eglin built this big, huge park next to it with all these gazebos right up against the water, right up against the base. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, they just getting y'all people. Well, anytime you go out there at night, and you're not supposed to be out there at night, it's full of people, and you'll come back in an hour, there's nobody there, but all the cars are still there, and there's nobody on the beach. There's nowhere to go but the beach, the gazebo, or the car. It is just crazy. That's where we discovered reverse time. It's where we covered ahead time. It's just so much goes on in that area. But I know it's just. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to come down now, if you're not a friend of mine, or you're not a member of this group, or you're not a member of ICAR, I might charge you. But everybody else, I'll come down for free.
Or you might have to take one for the team. He'll throw you out in the front.
Well, that's funny. Canuck, because we always called him Canuck. He was like. Who was sitting next to him? I forgot who was sitting next to him. Some girl said, he started pushing around. He said, I'm just going to sacrifice. I said, it ain't going to matter.
I told you guys. The newbies go for the front.
Oh, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. All those events were insane. But for some reason, and just recently, I shouldn't even bring this up, but just recently, Lynn and I were down there, and we had some weird shit go down. That's where you see I was filming with Fiona, and I was taking a picture of that thing where we had the orb went over it. So on the Alien Enigma site, see, I posted an Alien Enigma site about 35 years ago because I knew when I got into public speaking, people are going to say, oh, you're just jumping on a bandwagon, you're just lying, you're just doing this. Well, the Alien Enigma site was posted before I went public, along with a lot of pictures and a lot of stories so people would know I was telling, I wasn't making it up. It was just stuff we had done, and I was just now opening it up. Because when I first got into radio, I wasn't really wanting to talk about it very much. I wanted to do the research that we were doing and put all the research out, but I didn't really want to talk about my own personal experiences. It puts you out there is what it does. What's that, Lockbeard? I didn't see that. It's hard to approach the subject. It is hard.
I think telling the whole world that you're on an aircraft carrier with a UFO landed.
That's now, though.
Put you out there.
Yeah, but that's now. That wasn't when I got in the field 35 years ago. Yeah, that's 35 years ago. That's not what I wouldn't talk about any of that. I was non-disclosure then too. But
I want pictures.
We have lots of pictures. There's lots of pictures on the alien. There's a picture on Eglin Air Force Base of a UFO landing. We got the actual video of it, but for some reason, every time I put it up on Homestead, they take it back down. Homestead told me because, well, you're inside of Eglin Air Force Base, you can't post that. I'm like, yes, I can. They don't care. Eglin didn't care. But for some reason, Homestead and GoDaddy won't let me leave it up there. It'll stay up for about a day, sometimes about a half a day, and then they take it down. Because you can hear us talking. We're filming. We're on Eglin Air Force Base filming because of my crazy wife. So there's a fence. There's a big black fence. It says Eglin Air Force Secure Area. So she walks out, and she hates water, by the way. Just tells you something. Right? My wife hates water. She walks out into the deep water, walks around the fence, and goes on the damn base. I'm like, well, I can't let my wife go by myself. I look like the big chicken ass. That's the same place we've seen the stairwell, and now we realize we used to always talk about this. We seen the stairwell that just went straight down, and she wanted to go down. I'm like, no, and we thought we never went down. Well, just recently we regressed and found out. Guess what? We did go down it. Now I don't even want to get into that tonight, but it was all of this stuff is creepy, weird. There's a lot going on. The aliens got multiple agendas, and we are part of some of their agendas, but a lot of the agendas we have nothing to do with. And recently found out that there are a dozen other species on board these ships that are being abducted just like we are, including the black-haired people. I don't say the black-haired children because I don't think it's the same thing. I think this is just a race. They look a lot like us. They just have deep, dark black eyes, but they look just like we did. Just their eyes are really dark for some reason, and their skin's really white for some reason. But they're not demons or ghosts. But I don't want to cross the two, because there does seem to be something else that's black-eyed going on. So, I don't want to get the two confused together, because I do think there's some kind of spiritual or demon or something out there that isn't this black-eyed children thing. So it gets confusing, and I do know, real quick, I know we're getting short on time. I do know that it does seem that paranormal and ufology do crisscross sometimes, like poltergeist activity seems to be something that's prominent around UFO sightings. Whether it's a ghost or demon doing it, I don't know. If it's something to do with the aliens, I have no idea. I don't even want to.
Maybe it's psychokinesis, the fear of the individual having the experience.
It might be. So, I mean, it's a strange thing, and you can't rule any of it out, but one day we'll get the truth. I don't know if we'll get it in our lifetimes or not, but it'd be nice if we do. But what do you mean, man? I'm like 20. What the hell are you talking about? all right, bullbuster. What can I say? I'm the youngest one here. No, actually, I'm not. But still, Sean's the youngest one here. He's the baby.
I'm 59.
He's a sexy beast, man.
I am sexy.
That's all over. You know what that
say
started
that
over?
every morning now, Joe, because you tell me I'm sexy.
That's where you should be. But that all started over this little 29-year-old that's a regular listener to the show. She said, "Who's that guy that was with you that night?" I'm like, "Who?" Because there was like 6 of us that night. She said, "The guy with the beard." I said, "I got a beard. Who you talking about?" And she came back. She said, "I went trying to think." She said, "Sean." I said, "She said, you are the sexiest beast man she's ever seen." I was like, "Well, you need to come in and tell him that." I said, "You know what? I'll tell him next time I see him."
There we go.
What does she look like?
She's hot.
Oh, man.
Yeah, she's
there it is.
Hottie, man.
Chase that down.
She's a regular listener. She comes into the shows. Now, she started listening to Chasing Prophecy regularly now because she likes Sean.
That's true.
I told her, I said, don't be
name?
scared. Write a question, Janine. I said, write him a question asking some. And actually, it's not that far. She's in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's out in the other Sean's country. But she's
an alien ship.
Because she asked me one day, she goes, "Is he married?" I said, "Hell, I know. I never asked him if he's married."
No, I'm not married.
Oh, there you go. She's listening there.
I'm single.
There it is, match made on UPRN.
She was talking about ghost hunting in some hospital in New York. I couldn't place the name though. I never heard about it. I mean, I've heard about a lot of hospitals that ghost hunt all up through the Northeast, but Rendlesham, I can't. I'd have to go find it. But it was some weird name I'd never heard before, and I think she might have had the wrong name. But I know most of that because all of y'all paranormal people keep me apprised on most of the paranormal stuff going on. That's one of the lucky things for me is having all these different paranormal researchers on the network. It keeps me up on all the good stuff. That's why I get to argue about ghosts and stuff. That's who was it the other day. Kelly goes,
not today, man. Not today. I'm done with that.
Interdimensional bleed through. I will never let you ever live it down.
Kelly Ryan.
Interdimensional bleed through. Stuff's going on in my house. Yep. Interdimensional bleed through.
Kelly Ryan says, that doesn't aggravate the people. I said, yeah, it aggravates the shit up, but it makes them prove their point.
I think it's funnier than hell. It's funny.
And I say all the time, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I tell people all the time, I'm honest. I said, I'm not a paranormal researcher. I said, I'm a ufologist, and that's why I have all these paranormal researchers in the network. And I said, I like to pick on them and argue with them, but in the end, they're way more experienced than I am when it comes to this kind of stuff. And even though I got all that equipment, but it's funny. I got all kind of ghost busting equipment, but I actually use it for construction, not for ghost busting. I got infrared, I got magnet, I got all kind of shit, but it's none of it. I guess I could all put it in a box and take it out ghost hunting with me. But I know we got about 5 minutes. So anybody, y'all got something y'all want to get into, or we got about 10 minutes?
The
Well,
weather.
Sean, don't plug Chasing Prophecy in a way to find you.
Oh, okay, yeah. Me, Jenny Nicasio, and Jason I and Petra every Thursday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and 6 o'clock Central. My show is Chasing Prophecy, and we talk things paranormal, abnormal, anything. Tomorrow, Thursday's topic is on Dracula's Castle, so that's going to be
Ooh, I
interesting.
like that
Well,
one.
I've been. It's great.
And last week we had a show, and it was a pretty decent show. I wish we would have stayed on another hour because. Did you ever hear that guy before, Joe?
Actually, I've heard some stuff, but this Thursday when I see y'all, I'm going to talk to y'all about a different time slot. But I ain't going to get into that right now. But I got an idea for y'all, and we'll see if we can't work something out. Well, guys and girls, if y'all listen to Chasing Prophecy, they blow through an hour literally. Just so does Michael. I mean, like when you listen to Mike, he blows through an hour. Michael could do an hour in his sleep, actually.
I do.
I know some days you do. I'm just saying, but Chasing they got a good thing going on there. They got a good show. I enjoy listening to them. And
I started off, and Michelle finishes it. You can't beat it. And Michael's in the middle.
Yeah. So yeah. It's actually Thursday is a great paranormal day, by the way. It really is. If y'all
I don't do paranormal on Thursday, though, man.
No, but you need to break it up a little bit. It's but it really. I actually thought about flip flopping you there. I actually thought about flip flopping you too. Well, I actually thought about flip flopping you and getting you to move Discovery over there and Red Pill to the other one. But I think I like it the way it is, to be honest with you. It seems to flow
we're
real
a mix
well.
of everything, though.
Well, I think about it on Thursdays right now. They're doing between the three shows about 2.6, 2.7 mil. So I'm not bitching. Michael's show is doing well. Jason's doing well. Michelle's doing well.
I find that Thursday for a 1 day a week news is good because then it takes you into the weekend.
It does.
And then then you got Monday and Tuesday to catch up with stuff, and then Thursday again. So like if you do like a new show on a Monday, it's kind of passe.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because it's by the Thursday, it's already something.
Thursday, Friday, those 2 days. Yeah. But Friday, people don't tend to watch TV or listen to it. They want to go out. They want to do stuff. So I found Thursday is a great time slot.
It's funny. Thank God for the cell phone, because just the other day somebody's telling me, he said, yeah, we'll be out partying, getting drunk, listening to y'all. I'm like, listening to who? He said, we listen to y'all on Friday night at the club. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, man, I have you plugged into my ear, music on one side, on the other side. Like,
when we were that age, we used to party, hang out, have a great time, and nobody could call us. Yeah, nobody could bother us. Nobody could cut into our tunes on our radio, and when we got home, we listened to the tape machine for the messages, and we called people back who we wanted to call back. How simple is that, man?
Yeah. No beepers.
I want the olden days.
Back in the days, yeah. Oh, man, I've seen more and more restaurants are now posting, please do not use your cell phone in our restaurant.
It's rude, man.
Wow, that's a good idea, because I hate somebody sitting next to me. I
agree. When I'm on my phone in a restaurant, people are sitting there eating. It's very loud, man. I'm trying to have a conversation. It's crazy.
I'm trying to. Actually, I got this horrible phone. It's the i12. But it does have that nice feature that you can flip it off.
Just pull out your gun and freaking shoot in the air a couple times. The restaurant clear out so fast, you have the whole place to yourself, man. Probably the cops to come and join.
Martha's busy messing with somebody else at the moment. But I know we got to get out of here. So coming up next is going to be Chasing. Oh, fuck, I'm on the wrong gal again.
Wrong galaxy.
All right.
Coming up next.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Joe, Michelle, Michael. Good seeing you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Great show, guys.
Good night, Joe.
Coming up next is the Horsefly Chronicles with Julia and Philip Syracuse. Y'all be sure to check them out. They'll be on in just a few minutes. Blackbeard, nice seeing you in the room tonight. Good points tonight. Good conversation and chat. Love seeing when the chat's in good mode, man. Jenny, nice seeing you as well. I like seeing good chat in the chat rooms. It's just a nice thing to keep going. Nice group of chats in. I see the Facebook pages were working good tonight. Everybody seemed to be behaving. Again, everybody in chat, thanks for showing up. Everybody in the panel, thanks for showing up. Everybody else, I hope you're having a great afternoon, great day, wherever you are. And just enjoy yourselves. It is, after all, Monday. Monday. Monday is like I like to call it. But anyway, we're going to get out of here.
It is.
What's wrong with Monday,
Yes,
man?
it's
I like
true.
Mondays. Mondays are awesome.
We try not to work on Mondays. This is my work on Mondays. I give the company off on Mondays. I get back to the old days when like the barbershops used to take off Sunday and Monday and stuff like that. We like to take off Sunday and Monday. We work a lot of Saturdays, so we like to take off Sunday and Monday. It works out better that way. But
Yeah.
on that note, guys and girls, we got to get out of here. Remember, stay tuned for the Horsefly Chronicles coming up with Philip and Julie Syracuse. They got a pretty good show tonight, so they'll be on in just about 10 minutes. I will see y'all then.